Thank you for clicking on this video. I'm Scotty V. Today we're going to be talking about his Spider-Man Brand New Day movie. Now, if you haven't seen Spider-Man Brand New Day, I suggest you like this video, save this video for later, and come back because we're going into full-on spoilers for this review. I got a few categories, what I'm going to be talking about, and then at the end of the video, I'll give you my overall score, and then I'll show you some of the merch I got from Spider-Man Brand New Day at the Cineplex here in Canada. So, what we're first going to be talking about is the story. So, obviously, the story takes place right after No Way Home. So, after Doctor Strange did the spell, everybody forgot who he was. Just a quick little side note before I continue. J. Jonah Jameson, J.K. Simmons was not in this film. He wasn't in Spider-Man Homecoming. He was in Far From Home and No Way Home. But I see in terms of the story why he wasn't in it, and I'm glad he wasn't. So, Spider-Man is just being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So the shots we saw in the trailer, in the first teaser with the montage of the fights, wasn't obviously beginning of this film. We got Tarantula, we got Boomerang, you got Ramid, I think his name is, and then you got Tombstone. The Tombstone was pretty cool. Tombstone had lines, and it was pretty cool, the interaction. Spider-Man was just being Spider-Man. Like, he wasn't scared. Tombstone's like, I'm gonna kick your butt, and he's like, huh, yeah, okay, let's see that. And that was pretty awesome. In this story, obviously Spider-Man has nobody, and he's trying to reconnect with the people he lost, but he couldn't do it. And in the beginning of the film, when he was doing the fantastic swing, which Daniel Crescent does, he knew the mission and he accomplished the mission. And the opening scene is when him swinging, and then the Punisher was introduced into the film, and they're chasing down an armored truck that's going after the damage control facility. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on. And so Punisher, Spider-Man team up. But in the process, Spider-Man is feeling weird, and he could feel something's not right. Sort of like how the Hulk mutates. So like when Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk, he mutates. His cells change. And Spider-Man is starting to know that as well. Another character we get introduced in this opening act is the Wolf, Agent the Wolf, or Captain the Wolf. It's a great nod to the comics because she was in the comics, but didn't have a really big role in terms of the Spider-Man story. But it was a nice nod. The last time I remember seeing her was in the Spider-Man 3 game with Tobey Maguire. That was the last time I saw her. Well, we had to do some side missions for her, but that's the last time I remember seeing that character. So even the Wolf is noticing that something's wrong with Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is just full on mutating, and he doesn't know what's going on. So he has to find a way to suppress that mutation. And when he does mutate, like, he doesn't fully on mutate, but he just signs of it. Like, think about the symbiote. When the symbiote takes over, he goes nuts. Like, he goes super angry and starts causing so much damage and chaos. It was like that because his arachnic, whatever, his like spider side and his human side were not balanced. So his spider side was going up and his human side was going down. So that kind of caused a lot of problems. We get introduced to Sadie Sink's character in this film, which, full on spoiler, I'm giving you a warning. I'll give you 3, 2, 1. She's confirmed to be playing Jean Grey, and she's sort of like the main villain, but if you go later on to the story, you'll see she's not really the villain. So Spider-Man teams up with Damage Control, takes down the armored truck, and Spider-Man realizes, hey, it was an old lady driving this truck, like this tank. Like, how's that possible? And then you could see people going, like, you could see Jean Grey jump to people, and it was pretty good. It was a pretty good thriller in terms of like suspense. Like, what is she doing? Like, what is she trying to accomplish? So she ends up breaking Scorpion out of the prison, which was pretty awesome. And Scorpion just goes wherever because Spider-Man's trying to track her. It's like, I'm gonna find you and take you down. So with all that, Spider-Man is just slowly mutating. He gets home, then he finds Ned. He goes to Ned's apartment, talks with Mary Jane, and or not Mary Jane, Michelle Jones. I always think she's Mary Jane. They go to the apartment, they interact, and he calls himself Maynard. And then Peter sees MJ with her boyfriend, which we only got one scene with the boyfriend. We never saw him again. Don't know what the point of that was, but I think I understand the point. So Spider-Man or Peter Parker sees all that, then he just goes swinging, and he just remembers the conversations that he had with Aunt May, because Marissa Tomei did return for this film, but just in flashbacks. Which what they did, they took a lot of elements from the Spider-Man 2 game into this movie, where they have flashbacks of Mary Jane, of Aunt May, and he's just dealing with a bunch of stuff. And you could see as he's swinging through the sky without his costume, by the way, in the rain, you can see he's slowly mutating and he's losing control. He gets to his apartment. He doesn't know what's going on. He passes out. We saw this in the trailer. Then in the movie, he's in his cocoon and he has organic webs. You could just see the hole in his wrist, and he's just like, what the heck is going on? And so he goes back to his apartment and he's using his AI he created. And he's like, what's going on? And she's like, the AI is like, your spider side is going more up than your human side. So if your spider side goes more up, your senses and your abilities are heightened, so that's going to go up to a next level, but your humanity is going to go down. And which we did see that with the Scorpion fight. He just lost control, like the symbiote style. Like he just threw Scorpion everywhere. Like he hit him through the police car and he almost killed an officer, which was crazy. That I didn't know Spider-Man can do that unless he had the symbiote. He wasn't holding his punch. He almost ended Scorpion right there. And he had to find a way to suppress the mutating gene in his body. So who does he go to? The person who has a mutation, Bruce Banner. He goes to, I think it was ESU, Empire University, to talk to Bruce Banner about mutating cells. And they have a great discussion, which to me it was like, how'd they dumb that down for me? Crazy. I understood everything about mutating cells, the consequences and all that. So Spider-Man finds a way to make a little device that ends up putting a suppression on his mutation. Sort of like how Doc Ock had the little AI chip in the back of his head to make sure he had full control of the tentacles when he was operating the arms. So this was sort of the same thing. And he couldn't figure out what's going on, what's happening. But he eventually did figure it out, and he suppressed his mutating side. So Sadie Sink's character, Jean Grey, obviously confirmed to be Jean Grey. So the first mutant in the main MCU timeline, the sacred timeline. Like we got Deadpool, Wolverine with all the mutants, but in the actual sacred timeline, we did not get a single thing of X-Men mutants. Now we do, and I think Sadie Sink's character, the way she played Jean Grey was great. Like she stole the show. Like that, I was really happy with that. Continuing with the story, so Spider-Man's trying to find Sadie Sink. He doesn't know the character, whatever that she's trying to get into his head, but can't. But she ended up getting in his head and figuring out he's Peter Parker. He really loves MJ. And she uses people around the street, which was in the trailer, so it's not really something special. That he's like, oh, I'm gonna find MJ, whatever. So he ends up going to Mary Jane because Michelle Jones. I always say Mary Jane. I think I should just call her Mary Jane from now on. Goes to her apartment, grabs her, says, "You need to come with me. I promised you once that I'll protect you, and you gotta come with me." She's like, "Okay." So they go swinging. They get to the top of a building, and this scene really twisted me. Like it threw me for a whoop, like a whoop. Like they started having a moment. They kissed each other, and she's like, "Oh, Peter, I knew it was you. The curse was broken with a kiss." And it was friggin' Jean Grey the whole time in Mary Jane's head. I'm like, holy crap. Why would you do something like that? Jean Grey, you're a hero, not a villain. So then she just jumps off the building. Spider-Man goes to catch her. I'm like, oh my god. Like the way that she was falling and Spider-Man was shooting his webs to grab her. I'm like, oh, she's going to snap her neck. She's going to die. She's going to snap her neck and we have to live the whole Gwen Stacy thing all over again. But Spider-Man ends up catching her and he lands on the back. It was just pretty funny. So they do some investigating. They hide out with the Punisher. And they figure out Mercedes Sink was Jean Grey. at the theater, I was like, come on, we already knew she was Jean Grey because people like love to spoil the movie, and we're just scrolling on Twitter or whatever, just enjoying the time, taking a break from the reality we live in, which is nuts. And then someone just like, oh, she's Jean Grey, she's confirmed. Not many redheads in the MCU. I'm like, God dang it. But they go fight her. Like They go to a facility in damage control. The head of damage control is hiding in a jail cell, and Spider-Man goes with the Punisher because MJ ends up convincing the Punisher to go help Spider-Man. Which, by the way, I know John Bernthal and Tom Holland are best friends in real life, and their chemistry really shined in this film. Like, I never thought I would see Punisher and Hulk in a Spider-Man movie interacting, but it was so good. It was so fun. Like, we don't need all this multiverse madness crap going around, because I know the multiverse saga is going to end, so they're going to start slowly introducing the mutants in the MCU, which I'm totally okay with. So they have a big fight in the I guess the damage control building, and the fight with the Hulk. Basically, everything you saw in the trailer was in the film. Like, they just showed everything with the Hulk because they knew it wasn't that much of a long fight, but it was fun to see Hulk and Spider-Man fight. Punisher was involved in that fight, and he was just scared shitless. There was one scene the Hulk just stomped his foot and just destroyed the whole area, and Punisher is just like, oh shit, and then Spider-Man is just standing there like, hey, what's going on? Because Spider-Man, he has spider senses, so he can dodge all that. So Punisher leaves. Spider-Man's continuing to fight the Hulk, but then the Hulk realizes that Spider-Man's a friend, not an enemy, and Hulk was tied up with all the debris that was outside. He just let himself go and fell. Like, I'm like, oh, Hulk has a heart. Hulk knows who's a friend and who's not. And at the end, Punisher went to go find Jean Grey. Jean Grey ended up taking control of Frank Castle, ended up using him to take down the head of the damage control, which I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he did pretty good. Because that character is, he hates mutants in the comics, so it makes sense. He wants to collect all the humans, all the mutants in the MCU to because they're a virus to the earth, whatever. That's something else. So at the end, Spider-Man ended up putting his chip in the back of her head. They bring her into Rikers. I think it was Rikers or the Rikers, I think, and then we get a backstory about Jean Grey that her purpose of going into damage control was to save her sister Sarah. And when she found out that they actually killed the sister in the VMAX facility, because that was a big thing in the film. What is VMAX? We don't understand a word of VMAX. But then she was realizing that she looked up, and in the vent, it had a V and a Max. That's where they killed her. And Jean Grey, like, just unleashed, like, this big explosion and just friggin' froze everybody in a certain mile radius. And Punisher, in the trailer, it looked like Punisher was immune to it, but it was just Punisher was just outside of it. Man, I just love John Bernthal Punisher. Man, he's great. So Spider-Man realized that he'd made a mistake. He needs to go save Jean Grey because she's a friend, not an enemy. So Spider-Man ends up going to the prison, which everybody thought, holy crap, Spider-Man's going to the prison to break out Daredevil because he's in the prison because, on the end of Daredevil and all that. No, that wasn't the case. So Spider-Man goes to the prison, and then I forgot to mention a cool little Easter egg. They're like, why isn't Kingpin never mentioned or anything? There was a flyer of Kingpin from in one of the alleyways. So that was a quick note just for you to know. So he ends up fighting the Hand because Jean Grey takes control, and she's trying to convince Spider-Man, like, hey, these guys are the bad guys, not me. And he has a great fight. The choreography for the fight was crazy for this film, especially with the Hand. So Spider-Man he takes the chip off his neck, and he's like, you know what? I'm both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and he just unleashes with his organic webs. It's great. It was a great sequence. At the end, Spider-Man ended up helping Jean Grey, and there was a shot that Punisher was outside with a sniper and trying to kill Jean Grey, by the way, because Punisher doesn't know. And then when Punisher shot, Spider-Man's senses went off. But before that, Jean Grey went into his head, to Spider-Man's head, and had a moment with Aunt May. So in the flashbacks, Aunt May was talking to Peter, and you could see because he had his Stark suit and all that. But May was talking to Jean Grey to realize you have great power. Don't let it consume you. It was a beautiful scene. It was just a very beautiful scene, well written. At the end, Spider-Man's senses go off because Punisher shot the bullet, and Spider-Man saves Jean Grey, but he got shot right in the back. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're going to kill Spider-Man? No wonder he's not in Avengers Doomsday. But Jean Grey actually ended up saving Spider-Man. Like, she went into like his, like, in his head and all that, and put like some sort of like life force to keep him alive, so the doctors can take the bullet and all that. And when Punisher saw that when he shot Spider-Man and potentially killed him, his heart sunk. You can just see, like, he's like, oh no, I just killed the wrong person. And you know what, I'm glad that they didn't dumb down Punisher, because I was worried that, because, you know, Punisher's all gory and he likes to swear a lot. He did almost say the MF, but Spider-Man webbed him up. But and then Punisher takes Spider-Man to the jail with that iconic scene from Civil War in the comics, holding him in his arms, bringing him to the prison. And then Spider-Man just ends up being recovered because Punisher was there, and Punisher sees him without his mask. It's like, yeah, you look like how I pictured you would look. I'm like, holy crap. But yeah, then the end, everybody was cheering for Spider-Man. He didn't know how to get out, and Punisher had a plan. Peter Parker just walked right up, because obviously nobody knows who he is, and Punisher stayed inside with the mask on and the gloves and just waving to the fans, which was awesome. So that was great. I enjoyed everything. Let's talk about the VFX. For the most part, the VFX held up. I was very happy with the effects, especially with the Jean Grey effect. It looked very similar to Sue Storm's like shield and all that. So the VFX was good. The Scorpion effects were great. The opening montage was great. I didn't find any too much flaws, except for that swinging just before he landed on the tank. He looked a little wonky, but I'm pretty sure as the weeks and months go on, they'll fix it up a little bit. Comedy, this film was not very funny, not too much, because, you know, it's very serious. Peter Parker's depressed, and they need to realize, like, they need to go to the dark depression Spider-Man style, which I did forget in the story part. Ned and MJ ended up figuring out Peter Parker Spider-Man, and they have a history. Mary Jane told Peter that, hey, I don't love you, and I'm like, oh, that sucks, because I know how that feels. I know exactly how that feels, and it stung and brought me back some memories, but that's why I love Spider-Man. So the acting, Sadie Singh's playing Jean Grey, great. She was the star of the movie. Tom Holland did great, especially with the new version of Spider-Man they were trying to do after No Way Home, because, you know, they're not in high school anymore. Though Mark Ruffalo did good as Banner. What are you gonna do? Nothing really special. The chemistry between Punisher and Spider-Man were great. So John Bernthal and Tom Holland. Zendaya did good. Jacob Babel, whatever how you say his last name. He did really well as well. Soundtrack was alright. Nothing too spectacular about the soundtrack, but it was just same as previous films. It was a little bit more updated tone, direction with the Daniel Creston. He knew the mission, and they accomplished everything they needed to do. He knew the assignment, and he fulfilled it. He did great direction. He did, especially with because he did Shang-Chi and he did Wonder Man, which Wonder Man got canceled, by the way, after a season. But he understood the assignment because he knows how to do the fight sequences, because he did it in Shang-Chi, and he brought the same crew, and I think Jackie Chan's team, to Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I think was fun. And then for my overall entertainment, I thought this movie was great. Beginning to end, the journey of Spider-Man is what we thought it should be, and there's no MCU connection. Like, there was no interference with other MCU projects that you needed to watch before this. Obviously, you needed to watch No Way Home, but yeah. Anyways, before I put up my score, I'm going to show you some of the stuff I got at the movie theater for Spider-Man Brand New Day. With some of the stuff that I got from the movie theater, because Spider-Man Brand New Day is so much fun. So this was one of the lids of the popcorn bucket. Awesome. It's pretty good. Actually, it's really high quality, which I'm very impressed with. This is one of the buckets I got with the face, so you can get that at Cineplex Canada. But at this point, I think they're all sold out. That's pretty cool. It goes all the way around. Material, it's like a bumper feel, which is awesome. If you want to look inside, it is just a normal bucket. You can see the eyes and all that kind of stuff. So that's awesome. So in this eye, you have Tarantula. You have Boomerang on this right here. I don't know if you can really see it. And then in this eye, you have Scorpion in the building. So that's pretty awesome. That's one of the buckets I got. There was another bucket I got. It's a little bit more cheap, but it's the Spider-Man suit right here. It goes. It's cheap plastic. Like if you drop this, it's gonna break. We got the logo here. Got the back logo right there. Inside, nothing really special. But yeah, that's that one. And then obviously the cup. I got a cup right here. Usually I don't show what I get at the movie theaters, but it's actually really high quality. If you touch here, it actually feels like brick. So they actually did that. I don't know if you can really see it there, but yeah, that's the cup right there. Anyways, let's put up my overall star rating, and then we'll discuss the rest from there. All right, so now that my score is up. So story, I gave it a 4-star because the story was great from beginning to end. I really enjoyed the whole introduction of Jean Grey and how the effects of No Way Home fell into Brand New Day. VFX, I also give a 4-star because for the most part the effects held up really well, and I'm very happy with that. Comedy, I give it a 3-star because it wasn't too funny. It was a more serious film, which I like. I have no problem with that. Acting, which with John Bernthal, Sadie Singh, Zendaya, all the actors involved were pretty good, pretty believable. I was happy, so I give that a 4-star. And soundtrack, I gave it a 3.5-star because it could have been a little bit more better. I could have felt more triumphant in that film. Michael Giacchino does a great job no matter what he does. So I was happy. The direction, I gave a 4-star. Daniel Kristen really understood the project and the assignment for Spider-Man, and I hope he continues to make more Spider-Man movies. And the entertainment, I gave it a 5-star because entertainment was great from beginning to end. I really was intrigued. Usually when I go to a movie and if I look at my phone throughout the movie, I'm not interested. Like, I'm bored. But in this film, I didn't touch my phone once, which that shows you I was very entertained. So overall, I gave this movie a 4.5-star out of 5 because my only gripe of this film, I wish there was a little bit more action. But in terms of the story purposes, I understood what was going on. So yeah, 4.5 stars. You can see my star rating right here. So I recommend you get your butt to a theater and go watch this film. I'm going to go for a second viewing on Saturday because it's great. I really enjoy Spider-Man. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe for more reviews like this. And then I'll see you on the next one. Be good.